Hello, everybody, and welcome to this is a new podcast for CHS Dragon Media.
Okay.
This is MindBogglers, and
MindBogglers.
today I'm Andrew Zona. We have
Rakshan Sivalingam.
and we're joined by a special guest today,
Christopher Tate.
All right, so this is MindBogglers. We're going to be talking about some unsolved mysteries. We feel it's our duty, our quest as
our divine right, as unofficial experts on mysteries, to talk about them and give you our analysis on what we think happened.
so. Welcome to
to that.
MindBogglers.
Welcome to the first episode.
So today, for our first episode, we're going to be talking about the Mary Celeste ship. This was a ship in the late 1800s that it went missing, and then it was discovered again a couple days after, probably about a month after it set sail. All the crew vanished, and no signs of any like tampering, mutiny, no signs of nothing. The crew was just gone, the ship was adrift, and yeah.
Yeah, so essentially this was a commercial ship. They left out of Staten Island, New York, and we're heading to Italy. But about, like you said, less than a month later, the ship was found off the coast of Portugal in an area called Azores with no sign of the crew. So let's talk about what the clues. So what do they say were the clues?
All right, so let's start with a couple more basics. The captain of this ship is Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Keep him in mind.
Briggs.
We're going to be talking about him a little later. As you stated, it departed from New York City on November 7th of 1872. There were 10 passengers on the ship, and that includes the captain's wife and daughter. He had accommodations made for those two to be on the ship in the first place.
Okay.
And our first big fact is that on December 5th, almost a month later, the Mary Celeste was found adrift with all the crew missing. So let's start with some speculation on that. What do you guys think?
Well, I feel like with ships like this, the most obvious thing to think is mutiny. You know,
Yeah.
like someone
Really?
gets mad, someone gets mad at the captain. I don't know, kill him,
Rebellion.
and then they just some kind of rebellion.
Like in Star
Or
Wars.
in the 1800 pirates are always there. Let's see.
I think pirates is always like a solid theory for ships in this
For sure,
day
for
because
I
they were all around.
I think a good second theory would be rough sea conditions.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
always
Oh.
the hurricanes going around that area.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, they didn't really
Atlantic
have anything
Ocean
to
is
Yeah.
very dangerous.
like combat those at all. Like no kind of safety measures for that back then.
Yeah, water damage. Maybe they just abandoned ship. I don't know. But we said it was a commercial ship. They were transporting alcohol, and one of the most popular
about-
theories is alcohol fumes explosion.
Oh, what?
And how
Yes.
I guess I forgot to talk about this earlier, but there was a theory about vapor buildup and a fear of an explosion, which is
wow.
why they think there was a little hole in the hatch. They think it exploded and it opened the hatch.
Oh, that's crazy. That's a good theory. They were transporting about 1,700
Yes.
and 1 barrels of industrial alcohols. That's
Jeez.
That's quite a
strong
lot.
stuff.
Actually, let's see how much alcohol fits in a barrel because that's got to be a lot. You talk while I look this up.
All right. Let's go back to Benjamin Briggs. Let's talk a little bit about the captain. So Benjamin was born in Massachusetts, where I believe he had a couple of siblings, normal standard family. He grew up a seafaring boy. and-
53 gallons
50
per
53
gallons.
All right. What's 53
barrel.
times 1,700?
Let me do
Let's
this.
pull out the
Let me do this
calculator.
quick math here. Are you doing it?
90,153 gallons of industrial alcohol.
I feel
Good
like
Lord.
that'd just sink the ship in general.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to? Here we can go back. Do
Go
you
back
wanna-
to Benjamin Briggs.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Here, let me
So
pass
he
you.
was a normal seafaring young boy.
pass you some of our notes over here. Here you go. Benjamin's
Alright.
an interesting character
Seafaring.
Oh, yeah.
in this case.
Just
He
see
was
that
one
beard.
thing that's interesting to note is that he was devoutly religious, and so he believed in abstinence. He did have 2 children, but I guess abstinence is just for pleasure.
I don't know. That's a tricky thing to just ignore that he was like heavily
Devoutly
against
religious.
abstinence, but obviously he was getting a little busy.
Well, I'm sure with abstinence and Christianity, it's okay to do it for children, but it's just you shouldn't do it for sexual pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that it's not super defined how they say he was abstinent.
Okay.
because a lot of times abstinence, like in Christianity, they say like like you're supposed to wait till marriage. It's a sin to do those things before marriage. But it could have just been like abstinence like that, like just waiting till marriage. And
Yeah, I heard in the 1800s you used to treat alcohol as medicine for kids.
Yeah, they
and
used
that
to use
too.
alcohol for like everything.
They used it. they
Like
did-
saying you got cigarettes.
You felt sick or anything, just chug up, man.
So that's a bit of the early life of Mr. Briggs, and we will be coming back to Benjamin Spooner Briggs.
Benjamin Spooner,
Well,
Captain.
let's
Benjamin.
Captain
Briggs.
Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Let's go back to some more facts really quick. So after
right.
the ship was found, they discovered that the last log entry in Benjamin's log was from November 25th, and it stated that the ship was near Azores, where you said where it was found, which is like close to Portugal and all that. And like upon like further inspection of this ship, there was like all the cargo was intact. Like all the alcohol barrels were still intact. There was like no damage to them.
So that probably eliminates the theory
That's
of
what I was
pirates.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they would, steal that and probably sell it for some good money.
Pirates and like the alcohol explosion theory. I feel
Yeah.
like the barrels
no.
would not be intact if it had blew up.
For
up.
sure.
I mean, it's
Blowed
not
up.
impossible.
Blew it up.
But one that I think is really interesting. This is we're gonna throw a little wrench into this case here. So there was slight water damage found on the ship, which leads a lot of people to believe, they're just I don't know, actually. That didn't make sense what my train of thought was. But there was some slight water damage found on the ship. And sources state that there was a hatch open. And we had to do some digging, but we found that all the sources don't agree. So they either state that the fore hatch of the ship was open or the Lazaretto hatch. Now, if you don't know what those are, which we didn't know what those
Yeah,
were.
we had to.
We did quite some digging on this one, but the fore hatch, this is what I think is really interesting because it talking about water damage and like one of these hatches being like slightly ajar or just open. The fore hatch is at the forward end of the ship, and it's how you access like a compartment that's used for storing anchors. So
Yeah,
it's where like the
yeah.
anchors and stuff are,
Chains,
chains, all
yeah.
this heavy stuff, and stuff used for like anchoring down somewhere or just holding position or things like that. And those things, like anchors, have been known to cause a lot of damage in like these old wooden ships and things like that. So I think that point's really interesting. Now, the Lazaretto hatch, which I feel like is more stranger, I don't see how it connects. I can see how like the anchors and stuff connects, and I think that's pretty interesting. The Lazaretto hatch is a compartment on the back of the ship that's usually used to isolate people or goods that are like suspected of having disease or carrying diseases to the rest of the crew. So any thoughts on that, guys? I think that the fore hatch theory is really interesting, like with the water damage and stuff. But yeah, what's your guys' thoughts?
I mean, that was a little bit to take in, but let me think about this for a
yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if any hatch was to be open, like if they were to, like just ghost ship, abandon the ship, I feel like the front hatch makes the most, the fore hatch makes the most sense. The Lazaretto hatch, I did some more digging. It says historically was used to isolate people or goods suspected of carrying diseases
I
on
said.
quarantine ships.
I said that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't
It's okay.
listening.
No, it's okay.
Take it as text evidence.
But yeah, it also, I mean, it still provides for, storage compartment and stuff like that. But maybe if that alcohol explosion theory was true, maybe it makes sense for the alcohol to be in the back, and that's why the hatch was open.
Maybe like let
Perhaps.
the fumes out.
Yeah.
You know? That makes sense. That makes sense too. So there's two different connections to it. Again, sources don't agree on which one was
It
open.
says official reports and detailed descriptions often lack clarity on which specific hatch is open, but also the term hatch can refer to like tons of different openings on a ship, like without specific identification, which makes it more challenging to be more precise about.
Yeah. It is. I think that one's a really strange point because that's like the only like solid evidence of something being wrong, like the water damage and the hatches.
Oh.
But yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got something?
Yeah, remember when you said that there was water inside the boat?
Mm-hmm.
What if it was a water spout?
A water spout.
So yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. But water spout was a heavy theory in like what happened to this ship.
Okay.
But none of the sources really agree. But we'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna go back to our nice, interesting character, Mr. Benjamin Spooner Briggs.
Captain Briggs.
Did you take a picture of my notes?
No.
Why didn't you take a picture of my notes? You were here. You present this.
Well, we
You
already
present
like talked
these.
about it.
I know, but like
about
we
it.
talked about his early life, but talk about his later stuff and like the
Like in the Mary Celeste itself.
talk about his video game.
One thing about Captain Briggs was he was actually a protagonist in a 2007 video game called Limbo of the Lost.
What?
Oh my goodness.
No way.
It follows Captain Benjamin Briggs in Limbo, where he has to aid destiny in a war against fate. In the game, he's portrayed as having a fear of bugs, but it is a game in 2007, so it's not going to be very complex. You know.
Oh, no.
Oh,
with
no.
features
I
or
want to
anything
play
like
it though. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I want to play on my PlayStation 3.
But it's a bit peculiar because if you look up anything about Benjamin Briggs, a lot of it's going to be about the Mary Celeste. That's kind of the reason why he's known. But this game doesn't talk or mention anything about the
That
Mary
is
Celeste.
insane.
Oh.
That's absurd.
So I'm guessing
It's
they're just using him because it's a cool mystery. I
Yeah.
guess they just want to use his name,
You need
exploit him,
just, for money.
exploitation and such.
I just find it strange that they wouldn't mention the actual ship.
Exactly.
All right.
And obviously, like this thing was not like a big hit, but because none of us have ever heard of it before, and I feel like it'd be more widespread if we really knew. Like I feel like it'd be a hit. No, I don't know what I'm saying, but I feel like
If people actually knew about Benjamin
Yeah.
Briggs
Yeah.
and what his life was about, maybe more people would be interested in
Exactly.
playing
It's
the
just a
game.
Less people
strange-
pick up a book.
it seems like a strange decision. A couple more facts about him. He was 37 at the time of disappearance on the ship. Like none of these people were ever seen after the ship resurfaced because it disappeared. All the crew disappeared, and then they found the ship just adrift.
Yeah.
But yeah, we said how he was devoutly religious, against abstinence. He did not drink, which is also another strange thing for being the captain of an alcohol ship,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
But even if he wasn't the captain of an alcohol ship, I feel like a lot of captains drank.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's a huge, like rum, everything. That's huge. on
Captain Morgan.
shipping. Exactly.
Yeah.
Captain Morgan, yeah. I like those commercials where it's like, Captain, you know, when we're all like, there's a bunch of different captains and stuff. Those are good commercials.
I mean,
like
I think
those.
when you think of like a stereotype of like a long seafaring captain, you imagine
Yeah.
them like, you know, drunk, drowsy, stuff like that with their crew members, especially at night. That's when they get scurvy.
Scurvy.
When they eat too
Ooh.
much.
Scurvy is such a cool
So-
word. Yeah, like all this. So okay, let's take another turn. Let's go to
Another turn.
Oh boy.
I know we're getting all twisty and turny.
Oh.
Is your mind feeling boggled yet? So we're gonna talk about some theories from experts, authorities, like some theories that those kind of figures had, like when they're actually investigating this case. When,
Okay.
when the so-called professional,
Yeah,
offender-
yeah.
not like us,
Not the
though.
mind-boggler
yeah.
professionals.
Mind
Real
bogglers-
professionals.
Yeah, I feel like we overturn these. But anyway, let's go through some theories, and we'll talk about our speculation as we go through each one. But so first off, we talked about it before, mutiny. That's always one of the first things that comes to mind with this. But it was debunked due to lack of like missing valuables. None of the belongings were disturbed on the ship. Like everything was still like in place.
Yeah, wouldn't there be dry blood on the ship anyway?
That too. Like there would be some evidence of conflict or disturbed like belongings. Everything was like in order on the ship, which is strange. And then another thing that people think about a lot was piracy and mutiny. And again, both those things involve conflict. Both those things involve like stealing. Everything was on the ship.
Yeah, no damage, nothing of that sort. No significant damage. This is just piracy.
So it just adds more and more wrinkles to this already complex web of
Pointing us
web of
towards
clues.
some kind of internal problem with the ship. I
Yeah.
doubt there's any like weather damage or anything. Because if the ship is fine, then people must have been crazy, right?
It's
They
got to
just
be something
abandoned
Probably.
like that.
Think
But
about it.
we'll talk about that in a minute.
But the another theory we talked about earlier, water leaks, water spouts, those were proposed as well because they said there was water damage on the ship.
Yeah.
There was just insufficient because I feel like the ship would have sank if there was too much water
Exactly.
damage.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't really make sense for the case. But like when water damage is brought up, that's something they have to think of because I'm sure the ship didn't sink and then just float back up and
Yeah, exactly.
drift off for
when they
5 more
found
days.
when they found the ship, it was found afloat. So there's nothing wrong with the ship, but we'll see.
I think something
We'll
of
find
note, now that I'm thinking about it, is the last log entry was on the 25th of November, and the ship was found on December 5th.
December 5th, yeah.
So that's like what?
10 days.
10? Is it 10? It's like 10, 11 days because
Okay,
31, I think. I don't know.
No, November doesn't have 31. It's just
Oh, sorry. So yeah, 10
so
days
10 days.
after. So it was just going like presumably alone for 10 days since there's no other logs
Mm-hmm.
past that point. 10, 9 days, something around that. Maybe he didn't write a log the next day or couple days. That's still a long time for the ship to just be drifting.
Yeah.
Yes.
which is also very strange now I'm thinking about it. Now, here's the most popular theory about the Mary Celeste. So the idea is, obviously, there's no signs of conflict. There's no real damage to this ship. So what's left that could have happened? People say ghost ship, which is when a crew totally abandons their ship. And this is the most popular theory. It's just that they just
They
left.
can't figure out why.
Yeah.
Like they just left the ship and just cut it loose, or they all jumped overboard. They might have like landed somewhere. All of them left and
Perhaps.
just set the ship away. And this is one of the Mary Celeste is one of the best known examples of this phenomena or theory. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? That is the most popular theory of them just abandoning the ship.
I don't. I mean,
And
there had to
let-
be.
they left all their like belongings and stuff too, which I also just thought of now.
There's got to have been some kind of like concrete evidence on the ship that gave them reason for abandoning.
Right.
Unless these people are just mentally ill. You know, like something's wrong in the head. Maybe they drank a little too much and
Just
got
a
a little
little bit.
drunk.
On a ship
But,
with a bunch of alcohol. Who knows?
Who knows? Do you want to recap before we give our ideas?
All right, so let's do a little recap. Mary Celeste set sail from New York. Its destination was Italy. The ship in about, how many days did we say? 18-ish days?
For what?
How long it was actually like
Oh,
sailing?
it's left on the what?
It
17th?
left on the 7th, and it,
7th,
the
and it was
last
found
log.
on the 5th,
The last log was
the 25th.
the 25th.
So it was sailing for 18 days.
18 days,
and then
yeah.
the last log happened, and then 10 days later, they found the ship with nobody on it around Portugal.
And the most popular theory was that they abandoned the ship, which we just talked about. All the belongings, all the cargo was still there. There's no real damage to the ship. So that was the only like real theory that people had. But the fate of the Mary Celeste was never completely solved. No one ever could prove what happened.
But what do we think happened?
Fantastic.
Mm.
All right, why don't you go first?
I'll give you guys my incredibly intellectual
Lay it
opinion.
down, lay
I
it
believe
down.
I'm smarter than the professionals. All right. So we said this man, Captain Briggs, was incredibly religious.
Right.
You know, he didn't drink, is abstinent, all that good stuff, right?
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
So now hear me out. What if he had some kind of religious awakening, some kind of christening, where he thought either God was trying to punish them or maybe God was telling them to do something else. So maybe God was warning them, get off the ship, like something's gonna explode, something's bad is gonna happen.
It's not him.
So he told his family, he completely abandoned ship. And then the crew's like, what are we gonna do without our captain? We might as well follow him. So they all just jump overboard and drown. But one of the flaws of that is like I feel like they would have been able to find the body. Maybe.
Yeah.
I
Well-
mean, it's 10 days until they found the ship, so I guess they probably weren't looking for the body. But the Atlantic Ocean is very hectic, you know, heavy waters, hard waters, stuff like that. So that's my theory. My theory is that Captain Briggs went insane because he thought he had a religious awakening.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to your theory that was stewing in my
Stewing.
boggled brain up here. The captain. Wait, yeah. The crew usually follows the captain, so that makes sense. But when you're saying like he had like a religious awakening that like God told him something's gonna blow up, when we talked about the hatches earlier, the Lazaretta hatch, the one that could have lifted up for the fumes because it's next to the storage, that was open.
Maybe-
so that maybe something.
Maybe
like
he
that.
saw the fumes and he thought he trusted his religious awakening.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was like, all right, guys, we got to get out of here.
Or the fumes made him crazy.
Ooh.
Because he never drinks. So maybe the
So that
alcohol.
as soon as he
fumes-
got some kind of fume, like he wasn't used to it,
yeah,
and his
went
mind
insane.
went crazy.
I
He
think
went
something like that.
insane.
He lost it.
they also could have like not just jumping overboard and drowning. They could have jumped off on some random island in the Atlantic was where it was at.
Yeah, the ship was found around Portugal. Let me see what islands near Portugal.
They could have jumped off on some island there, and they could have just let the ship go. Like maybe they thought the ship was like because they thought something was gonna blow up on the ship, so keeping the ship there wouldn't have done anything. It just the thing that confused me the most about that thing about them like landing on an island is why wouldn't they take any of their stuff, like anything
For
to
sure,
live off
yeah.
of. So that also thinks about them just jumping overboard too, because they just left everything. But I like that theory. I like how we thought about like him actually like getting the fumes. Maybe that caused some kind of mental.
Or maybe if they did jump off an island, maybe there's some kind of natives or something. They got off the island. They weren't expecting to stay there. The natives, you know, something happens, they kill them, and then the ship just gets abandoned.
Yeah,
So who
that's
knows?
a good one.
Do you have an idea, Christopher?
Here's a strange one.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Have you guys
man.
ever heard of the Kraken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What if what if the Celeste was attacked by a giant squid?
Okay.
Okay.
Talk to me more about that.
Okay,
We're listening.
Because giant squids, they're known to attack because sperm whales and stuff and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let me show you something. Sperm whales, they're known to have them sickles on their skins.
What?
Look, let me show you.
Okay.
All right, show me
all right,
something.
all
Show me
right.
something.
So you think that the ship was did the Kraken just like pick off all the people?
Perhaps.
That's what I'm wondering.
Not touch the ship at all. Just slowly pick up people.
Yeah.
What's that one game where like you're trying to get
Sea
the
of Thieves?
sickness? No, you're trying to get the sickness out of the guy, like a board game.
What are you
Operation.
talking- Oh,
Operation. That's what he's just picking the people off the ship.
That's what you thought of Operation?
Yes, that's what I thought of.
You got operation from a giant squid
Yes.
attack.
Yeah, that's kind of
Don't judge
lame.
me. I'm a professional mind boggler.
Sorry, MindBoggler, Rakshan.
Let's,
Oh man.
Exactly.
All right, let's see.
we'll put
We'll
this
put a
photo
picture up.
over.
Okay.
All right. So what does that have to do with the?
What if the giant squid thought that the ship was a sperm whale?
Do squids attack?
He thought
sperm
there was
whales?
a floating sperm whale and decided to pick off each person individually.
It's not impossible.
It's not
it's
impossable.
nothing's
Nothing's
impossible.
impossible.
You're
on the
you're
mind
not the
bogglers.
smartest creatures on the planet.
Yeah.
That should be our motto. Nothing's impossible.
Nothing is
Mind
impossible. I just think it has a couple holes in it.
bogglers. maybe just a few. Maybe just a few.
All right.
All right, let's toss it over to Andrew
Now
Zona.
it's my turn.
Cook.
All right. Here's what I'm thinking.
All
Right.
right, hit me.
It's a ship transporting a lot of alcohol,
Okay,
and all the crew just disappeared. So here's what I'm thinking. Hear me out.
I'm hearing you out.
Alcohol aliens.
Alcohol.
So my idea is crazy.
Yeah. No, just trust. I got you. All right. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Aliens have more advanced technology.
For sure.
They say all the alcohol was untouched.
But
What
what?
if But what if it wasn't? There's no reports of them actually like opening the barrels and checking all the alcohol. So what if it's not like actually alcohol in there? What if these aliens came down, they saw the ship, they're like, man, we want alcohol, and they went and they like used their alien technology to take all the alcohol out of the barrels, and then they replaced the alcohol with like alien juice so that they
Alien
wouldn't
juice?
You
What,
know
what,
how
is, what, is,
crazy
what does alien juice consist of? Please tell me.
like fruit punch. And
Okay.
they replaced it with their alien fruit punch, and then they didn't want anyone to know that they took all the alcohols, and they're like, oh, they're gonna know that about aliens, so they took all the people with them, with the alcohol.
That's it.
That's it. That's your theory, bro.
So they just got abducted, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I think happened. I don't.
Do you have any other clues? Like, did they replace it? Maybe they damaged the ship and they fixed it up. Like,
Oh yeah, maybe they shot like their alien lasers, and then they had to fix the. That's probably why the water damage is there. They went
Water
pew
damage.
pew with the with the lasers, and then they got some water damage. And the hatch being opened, maybe someone tried to like open the hatch to throw an anchor at the alien ship, because like what are you thinking when big aliens
Yeah.
come down and steal your alcohol? You're thinking,
What if
let me
he-
throw a big anchor
what
at
if
the
he
aliens.
thought it was like angels or God because he was extremely religious?
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh!
Oh my god!
And then that's where the video game comes from, because he's like fighting bugs, and maybe
He
the
said
aliens look
scared of
like
bugs.
scared of bugs, alien bugs.
alien bugs, angels.
Maybe
Oh.
maybe there's some extraterrestrial element to this.
Angel.
No one thought to look where I'm looking right now. My mind is boggling so
So
hard.
hard. Boggle on, young man.
Oh,
Boggle
man.
on.
My head hurts.
I think all right. I think Rakshan's is the most plausible
Yeah.
theory.
But who's like? I mean, this you can't be plausible with this because they just disappeared.
They did,
There's
yeah.
gotta be some kind of evidence.
There's definitely an explanation
Extraterrestrial.
out there, but we're not gonna find it sitting in this podcast room. So we wanna enable all of you, every mind boggler out there, go out and explore
Do your own research.
and figure out, help us find out some of these mysteries, because some of this stuff, this is history. This is cool.
It's very
Yeah.
cool.
And I mean, it probably.
What if you were on the Mary Celeste?
Oh.
What if you went disappearing? You'd want people to figure out what
Yeah,
happened
exactly. I mean, granted, it's a couple years too late, but
to you. Just a couple.
but yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Just a couple centuries. That's all.
So go out, explore, find new places, and yeah, I think yours is the most plausible in terms of like what could have actually like logically happened. I think like the fumes and the captain like following captain's orders, things like that could have all contributed to whatever went on the Mary Celeste of 1872.
1872.
72.
That's the year.
That is the year. You want to take us out with this
Want to
one?
wrap it up? All right. We thank you all for listening to our very first episode of the MindBogglers, where
Open mind.
anything can happen. So keep an open
Anything.
mind. I'm Rakshan Sivalingam,
I'm Andrew Zona.
And I'm Christopher Tate.
and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Keep boggling.
Keep boggling.